$10 million offered. The incredible moment a chef translates in 4 languages. In the heart of an industrial wasteland stood a little restaurant called Le Petit Mirage. To the naked eye, it seemed just another hole-in-the-wall joint, but whispers told of something extraordinary behind its weathered doors. The scent of sizzling garlic and herbs wafted through the air, mingling with intrigue. Locals claimed a $10 million bounty rested upon the head of one man. Alex, the chef and linguist with an uncanny gift. He could switch between 4 languages as smoothly as he flipped an omelet. Strange? Yes. But beyond bizarre was the pulse of anticipation that gripped the town every time Alex entered the kitchen. At precisely 7 o'clock on a dim Thursday evening, the atmosphere thickened. A line had coiled around the block, hope expunged into the barbed air. Each person held a gleam of expectation in their eyes. What could happen tonight? They clutched tight to their wild dreams. His transformation was mesmerizing. One moment he stood stoic, apron tied firmly. The next he was a whirlwind of energy, speaking in fluent Italian, Spanish, Mandarin, and English, his hands dancing like fireflies in the dark. It was inexplicable, his move, a symphony on the tongue. The crowd gasped, laughter erupted, then silence fell as he crafted phrases from every corner of the globe. But that night, something felt different. Shadows loomed as the sun set, and the lights flickered ominously. A stranger lingered at the door, a man in an oversized trench coat, his hat tilted low, obscuring his face. The tension crackled like static electricity, drawing everyone's gazes. Could he be a spy? A rival chef? The senses heightened, the whispers grew ragged. Alex caught a glimpse. His heart thudded, a lump shot up his throat. The mystery man stepped inside, bringing with him an inexplicable chill. Was he here to offer the fabled $10 million? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With all eyes upon them, the man cleared his throat. The air felt thick, every ear in the room straining to catch what would come next. Alex, the man said, his voice smooth but edged with something darker. I have a proposition for you. A test of your skills, unlike any you've faced. Alex felt his chest tighten. What would this test entail? What risks lurked in the shadows? As the meaning of the stranger's words sunk in, the crowd buzzed with excitement and dread. Would they witness a life-changing opportunity or a night of peril? The question hung in the air, tantalizing and terrifying. What was the stranger really after? Alex's eyes darted around the room, searching for answers in the faces of his loyal patrons. They all stared wide-eyed, captivated, as if they were an audience to a high-stakes drama unfolding before them. He sensed their anxious anticipation, the unspoken question lingering in the air. What would he choose? "What's your test?" he managed to say, his voice breaking slightly, revealing the tension that bubbled just below the surface. The stranger smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Instead, it bore the weight of unspoken threats. "You'll have 1 hour to create a dish that embodies your linguistic prowess," he replied smoothly. "Each ingredient will represent a language: Italian, Spanish, Mandarin, and English. You must impress me. Failure means, well, let's just say the consequences are dire." A murmur swept through the crowd, a chilling undertone weaving through their excitement. What did the stranger mean by dire consequences? The weight of the challenge pressed down on him as he pushed through the crowd toward the kitchen, not just for himself, but for his patrons who believed in him. He slipped on his apron and reached for the familiar knives, his hands trembling. Adrenaline surged through his veins as he contemplated the weight of $10 million and the fate of his beloved Le Petit Mirage, all resting on his ability to conjure magic from mere ingredients. The clock on the wall ticked, each second echoing like a drumbeat in his ears. With measured breaths, he grabbed fresh basil, its fragrance a reminder of his Italian roots. He could hear the whispers growing louder, demanding to know if he could actually pull this off. He aggressively chopped the basil, glancing up to see the stranger leaning against the door, his silhouette framed by the flickering lights. The tension in the room spiked again, a palpable force. Alex's heart raced. This was more than just a culinary challenge. The stakes were spiraling out of control. Next, he poured olive oil into a pan, its golden color catching the light. Olive oil, he muttered, representing the Mediterranean warmth. He could already see the intrigued faces of the diners. Do they believe in me? He turned to the Spanish-inspired dish, searing chorizo, its spicy aroma enveloping him. That's it, he whispered, as he coaxed the meat into a tender flavor explosion. Each sizzle ignited his spirit, a fire propelling him onward. The clock ticked down, and sweat trickled down his temple. He moved faster, adding cilantro for the Mandarin element, recalling its bright freshness. It clashed beautifully against the robust spices of the chorizo. But in the rush, a thought crept into his mind. What would happen if he failed? The stranger's face loomed large in his mind, shadowy and ominous. Would the crowd turn against him? Would they blame him? As he began plating the dish, a vibrant tapestry of colors and aromas, a sense of clarity flooded him. This was his moment, not just to fight for money, but to reclaim his power and identity. The importance of his craft surged within him. He added a distinct touch, a hint of English mustard to tie the flavors together. The final whistle blew, echoing in the kitchen. Alex turned, his heart in his throat. The stranger stepped forward, a glint of something unreadable in his eyes. The crowd held its breath, the tension drawing tighter. He presented the dish with pride, unsure if the man would appreciate his work or if he was about to encounter darkness he couldn't escape. Now, the stranger said, his voice laced with danger, "Let us see if your skills are worthy of that 10 million. What would he say? Would the dish sway the fate of Alex and Le Petit Mirage? The gravity of the moment bore down as eyes focused on the stranger, the room filled with an expectant stillness vibrating with possibilities. But just as he opened his mouth to explain, the lights flickered violently, plunging them all into darkness. What was happening? What would come next? The darkness enveloped the room like a suffocating blanket. Gasps echoed, punctuated by the scuffle of feet scrambling for stability. Shadows danced against the walls, creating a frantic carnival of fears. Alex felt a knot of panic tighten in his chest as he reached for the counter, his fingers brushing against the cool surface of the countertop. "Is everyone okay?" he called out, his voice shaky but firm. Silence answered, leaving behind the resonant thrum of his heartbeat. The tall stranger stood eerily still, an imposing figure against the flickering light from the emergency exit sign, his expression unreadable. Then, with a crack, the lights surged back on, bathing the room in a harsh, fluorescent glare. Alex blinked, reorienting himself. The diners were no longer merely faces in a crowd. They were expressions of concern and confusion, their whispers now asking if they should leave. "Stay, please," Alex shouted, desperation lacing his words. The challenge isn't over. The stranger's gaze shifted toward the plate, still beautifully arranged on the counter. "Interesting choice," he said, tilting his head to examine it more closely. His voice carried a soft, mocking tone. "A dish to impress, or one to disappoint?" Alex clenched his fists, feeling the uncertainty blanket him again. "It's more than that. This isn't just food. It's a reflection of my journey through the languages I've cooked with." The crowd murmured among themselves, eyes darting between the dish and the stranger. Doubts crept into Alex's mind. Was he making a fool of himself? The stranger stepped closer, inspecting the dish as if he were a hawk circling its prey. "Taste it," he commanded, and the tension thickened. Alex glanced to the crowd, hoping for guidance. You're the judge," he stammered, feeling the weight of the audience's stares. "You should taste it." "Oh, I will," the man said, his voice smooth, but there was a compelling undertone, as if the challenge was morphing into a deadly game. He dipped a fork into the dish, lifting it to his mouth with an exaggerated slowness. The anticipation was boiling over, and for a fleeting moment, Alex caught the eye of Mrs. Thompson, one of his oldest patrons. Her reassuring nod offered a sliver of hope. With a swift bite, the stranger savored the dish. Color drained from his face. It was unexpected. Just as quickly, those shadows returned to his gaze, the flicker of something darker igniting within him. You think this is sufficient for my taste? Alex's heart raced. This was the moment. You haven't even tasted the layers yet. The flavors intertwine to tell a story. To embrace cultures enough. The stranger's voice sliced through the air like a knife. Your words are as empty as your dish is flawed. What happened next was a blur. The man slammed the fork onto the counter, the sound echoing ominously. This isn't just about food, chef. This is a game of life and death. You've awakened something terrible. The crowd erupted into chaos as shouts of panic surged. Chairs scraped along the floor. Patrons stumbled back. Alex's mind reeled. Game of life and death. What had he gotten himself into? Desperation clawed at him. This wasn't just a competition, it was a test of survival. We need to get out of here, someone shouted, but the doors wouldn't budge. They locked them all in. What do you want from me? Alex shouted at the stranger, whose cold smile had transformed into a predatory grin. Only the ultimate test, Alex. Trust me, culinary skill is only the beginning. Outside the main dining area, dark clouds gathered. Thunder rumbled ominously, almost in response to the chaos building inside. What dark deception had woven its way into this gourmet nightmare? The moment hung, electrified with tension. Prepare yourself, the stranger hissed, stepping forward. Your real challenge is about to begin. What lay ahead? The fate of Alex, his patrons, and Le Petit Mirage felt heavier than ever. An eerie silence fell over them, darkness creeping in from all sides. Just how deep into the abyss would they have to plunge? Panic clashed with anticipation like thunder in the air. As the stranger's shadow loomed over the dish, Alex felt time stretch painfully, every heartbeat amplified in the silence. Look around, the stranger commanded, his voice cutting through the chaos that had engulfed the room. You're all trapped in a nightmare, and this chef is the architect of your torment. Gasps echoed again, eyes widened in fear. The weight of the truth hung over Alex. It wasn't just his fate on the line. The patrons were now his responsibility too. He could see their rising terror reflected in their faces. Mrs. Thompson was clutching a handkerchief, her knuckles white. Others were frozen, eyes darting toward the locked doors, the only exit now a mere illusion. Let them go, Alex pleaded, stepping forward, heart hammering in his chest. This is between you and me. But that's where you're wrong, the stranger chuckled darkly, almost reveling in the panic around him. The stakes have escalated. You all partake in this twisted game. He gestured to the food, a cruel smirk spreading across his face. One wrong flavor, one ill-placed garnish, it cost lives. The room swirled with disbelief. Alex's breath caught in his throat. What do you mean? Simple, the stranger taunted, stepping closer to the counter, the light glinting off the fork in his hand. You must prepare another dish. One that embodies not just skill but a deeper understanding of the culture you claim to represent. His eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and malice. And I'll be the judge and the executioner, if you fail. A wave of shock rippled through the audience. What but how? Alex stammered, grappling for clarity amidst the chaos. I don't even know what you want. Figure it out. Transform that fear into flavor. He leaned in closer, an unsettling smile curving his lips. Or perhaps, just save yourself the trouble and let them suffer. The choice is yours. The room felt tighter, each breath laced with dread. A light flickered overhead, casting ominous shadows that danced around the frantic faces. Alex's mind raced. What could he create that would appease this monster? He searched the scattered remnants of the previous dish, feeling the pressure build as silence widened the gap between him and despair. What do we do? Someone whispered from the back, panic lacing their voice. Stay focused, Alex replied, heart pounding like thunder. We have to work together. Maybe if we each contribute our ideas, we can create a dish that blow his mind. But the stranger's laughter echoed through the room, chilling Alex to the bone. You think a simple kitchen trick will save you? This is far more daunting than culinary arts. You must awaken a spirit within the food, one that calls forth deep-rooted traditions and flavors. Only then will I consider letting them go. Alex swallowed hard, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders like a leaden cloak. Around him, the patrons watched, their breaths hushed, eyes wide with uncertainty. Sweat trickled down his brow, and he could almost taste the fear in the air. This was his chance. It had to be. All right, Alex steadied himself. Let us strategize. We can do this. Let us start thinking about what we know about the cultures I've cooked with. But before he could gather more thoughts, a dreadful crack of thunder resonated outside, rattling the windows. The lights began to flicker ominously, the atmosphere thickening with an unspeakable dread. The stranger's eyes glinted, savoring the tension. Time's ticking. Alex, he whispered, a predatory grin spreading across his face. How much are you willing to risk? Each tick of the clock echoed like the heartbeat of the room, amplifying the dread that gripped them all. What culinary secrets awaited discovery? And how much of themselves would they have to sacrifice to survive? As the storm raged outside, so too did the battle within. Would Alex find the soul of the dish in time, or would he and his patrons pay the ultimate price? What lay ahead was shrouded in mystery, and the countdown had only just begun. Focus! Alex yelled, urgency slicing through the rising wave of panic. The room tightened around him, 5 pairs of eyes glued to his expression, waiting for direction. An inner battle raged within him, fear tangling with hope. He could feel the stranger's gaze bore into him, hungry, impatient. Time waits for no one. The man jeered, twirling the fork in his hand. Okay. Alex inhaled deeply, pulling the whirlwind of emotions back a notch. We need a dish that reflects culture, heart, and history. Something that can speak without words. What do we know? Let us brainstorm. The patrons exchanged apprehensive glances. Mrs. Thompson, her face pale, finally whispered, we could use ingredients from each culture? Like a fusion? Fusion, Alex repeated, the idea sparking a fleeting glimmer of hope. Yes, that could work. But what cultures? Give me something. A voice piped up from the back. What about Italian? Everyone loves pasta. Good. Yes, Alex encouraged. But we need more. Who else? Mexican. The layers of flavor, another suggested, sounding more confident. Alex nodded quickly. Perfect. We could create a stuffed ravioli with a mole sauce. The stranger's laughter filled the room, harsh and mocking. But you must do more than just blend a couple of cuisines. The essence of the cultures should sing within each bite. A dish born of struggle, love, celebration. A chill skated down Alex's spine. Right? Something authentic. What else? Just then, the lights flickered again, plunging the room into momentary darkness. A collective gasp echoed, a prelude to the ensuing chaos. Stay calm, he shouted, though his own heart raced. The overhead ceiling sagged ominously, flickering lights casting erratic shadows, making the corners of the room seem to stretch and warp. Mediterranean? An anxious voice suggested, but the stranger shook his head dismissively. Add the life-esque work of the people. Give me something that encapsulates a community, a story. People, Alex whispered, inspiration igniting. What if we focused on family? Recipes passed down through generations, emotions tangled in flavor. Memories, traditions. Yes, Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, gripping her handkerchief tighter. Even the rituals surrounding food. That's it. We can weave those stories into our dish, but we have to act fast. A man shouted, his voice shaking. What if we mess up? The stranger leaned in, savoring the tension. But isn't that uncertainty the essence of life? His smile widened, a predatory glint in his eyes. Your hesitations could cost them dearly. Those words clanged like a warning bell in Alex's mind. The patron's growing dread wrapped around him, almost suffocating. He caught glimpses of their faces, fearful, hopeful, each reflecting their own desperate wish for survival. Okay, Alex shouted, ignoring the storm outside and the oppressive presence of the stranger. Let us craft a dish that embodies the fight of our ancestors. We need flavors that clash yet blend, that tell not just of survival, but victory. With newfound energy, they began to move, rushing through the kitchen, hands grabbing ingredients, seasonings, vegetables, and meat. Every action filled with silent rebellion against the fate looming above them. Alex's hands flew over the cutting board, chopping swiftly, igniting memories of his own family. Taunts from the stranger echoed in his mind, urging him to hold on to that spark. Think of your ancestors. What did they survive for? What did they fight for? He urged the others, channeling the essence of their collective histories as they tossed spices into the pot, creating a resonance of flavors that they hoped would transcend the horror of their situation. The thunder cracked again, fierce and angry, rattling the windows. Time seemed to slip through their fingers. What if it doesn't work? What if we fail? A voice trembled, doubt creeping back in. No, Alex stated firmly, mixing the ingredients with vigor. We want to give in. We have to believe. With every stir of the sauce, every pinch of spice, the atmosphere shifted. The fear morphed into something palpable to drive to. Save not just their culinary pride, but lives. Alex paused, the pot simmering, and locked eyes with the stranger across the kitchen counter. You think you can dictate our fate? This is our choice. The stranger's smile flickered, just for a moment, before a disturbing calm returned. But all choices come with consequences. Let us see if you can withstand the pressure, because soon, the time will be up. A thick tension hung in the air, a maelstrom of desperate hope and looming dread. Would their creation embody enough spirit to break the spell, or would they all succumb to the dark whims of the stranger? As the clock's ticking punctuated the silence, Alex felt the weight of decisions bombarding him from every direction. The taste of fear mingled with resolve. Could they truly turn the tide in their favor? Time was slipping through their fingers, and soon they faced the judge they never wanted. The kitchen was alive with fervor, the air thick with uncertainty and the scent of simmering hope. Alex grabbed a handful of basil, releasing the fragrant green aroma as he tore it into the sauce. The memories of his grandmother flooded his mind. Sunday dinners filled with laughter, stories shared over steaming plates, and love folded into every bite. Focus on the memories, guys, he hollered, urgency flooding his tone. What did your families cook? What sacrifices were made? Every sprinkle of salt needs to mean something. Chili peppers from my uncle's backyard, shouted a woman near the dish station, her voice quavering but steady. Great. Spicy heat. It'll bring fire to the dish. Alex replied as he motioned for her to grab them. The clock's relentless ticking echoed louder, like a thunderous drum signaling the end of a race. Each second sliced through their determination, twisting it into desperation. The stranger leaned against the kitchen counter, forks still twirling, chuckling menacingly at their frantic efforts. Can you flavor history? He sneered, eyes glistening with sadistic pleasure. Tell me about the tears of a nation. You have to do better than vegetable scraps. Alex felt the weight of the gazes on him, shock, fear, and fervent need intermingled. We can do this, he called, trying to inject strength into his words. He turned to the small group, focusing on each member one by one. Remember why we fight. This isn't just for us anymore. With that, all hands began to work in unison. They chopped, sautéed, and stirred like a well-tuned orchestra, mirrors to their fraying emotions and determination. Someone added roasted tomatoes, another tossed in kidney beans with a flourish, while someone else stirred in a ladle of mole paste for complexity. Are we really going to let him win? A man gasped, fear leaching into his voice. No, Alex shouted, rallying their spirits. This is about them, our families, our communities. Cook with your heart. Outside, the storm lashed against the windows, and lightning illuminated the dark kitchen. For a moment, time stood still as they watched the lights flicker and dim. Then the electricity surged back, but panic clawed at the edges of their resolve. More spices, Alex urged, throwing in cumin and garlic. Bring those flavors to life. The mixture bubbled with vitality, each stir a living poem. But just as the rhythm built, the stranger's laughter rolled through the room, chillingly close. How delightful! A symphony of chaos. He stepped closer, eyes darting between the ingredients in their hands, his amusement palpable. Just then, the ground beneath them seemed to tremble. It was subtle at first, just a rumble. Then it grew harsher, rattling the very foundations. What now? Whispered Mrs. Thompson, her voice dire. Get it done. Alex barked, churning the contents of the pot, praying they had enough time. Nostalgia for his grandmother's kitchen entwined with the fear of the stranger's twisted game. He could feel the pressure mounting, the flickering lights mirroring the sinking dread in his stomach. The earth let out one last growl, shaking the kitchen again, stronger this time. Cans toppled, plates clinked, but Alex stood transfixed over the bubbling pot. We're almost there. We just need. He trailed off as his mind raced. Flavors from the sea. Came a voice from behind him, rekindling the fire in his belly. Crab. We can do crab Panamanian style, Alex exclaimed, remembering a family recipe he had tucked away in his heart. The others exchanged excited glances, hopeful once more. But before they could gather their wits, the walls began to creak ominously, and then the lights shut off, leaving the room in darkness. "Time is up," the stranger cackled, the sound piercing through the silence. "Will you finish with love, or will you let despair consume you?" Panic rose again as they fumbled in darkness. Hands brushed against each other as they searched for the last ingredients. "Keep it together," Alex shouted, heart pounding. The storm outside raged, relentless and threatening. In that suffocating darkness, a crucial question echoed through Alex's mind. Would they find the light within themselves to finish their dish, or would the stranger's shadow snuff them all out? The clock ticked louder, the darkness closing in. What fragile hope remained burned dimly could they conjure it in time? The darkness felt palpable, a weight pressing against Alex's chest. The sounds of the storm outside roared like a beast, clashing with the chaos within. He could almost hear the desperate breaths of his team, their determination flickering like the dim glow of a candle. "Crab! We need the crab!" he shouted again, clenching his fists. Panic surged as his memories fought to direct them, his grandmother's warm laughter mingling with the kitchen's familiar hum. "Right here!" someone yelled, hands scrambling in the void before Alex. It was Maria, her fingers brushing against a can. "I found it." The can clinked as she tossed it on the countertop. "Great, but we need a can opener," Alex urged. The clock ticked on, each second a taunt. "Here, I've got one." Another voice squeaked, and soon enough, a metallic rasp sliced through the silence. Gears turned, the opener struggling against the resistance of the rusted can. "Let us move, people," he growled. Time was slipping away, like sand through fingers. Gritting his teeth, he dropped his hand into the pot again, feeling the warmth against his palm despite the fear biting him from every angle. Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the chaotic scene. The stranger stood there, his grin wide and mocking. "A delightful little reunion, isn't it?" He leaned in closer, watching intently, relishing every moment. "I wonder how much time you have left now." "Don't listen to him. Focus," Alex shouted, rallying his team as they came together, hands in the shared effort of extracting the crab. They split the can, its pungent aroma filling the room, mingling with the basil and cumin. "In with the crab," he barked, heart racing. The stranger stepped back, arms crossed, his laughter echoing eerily. "Cook with your hearts, if you dare. But hearts can be torn apart just as easily as they're filled." The words hung in the air, dark and foreboding. "Forget him. We have each other," Maria cried out, tossing in the crab with a flourish. Love in every scoop. With renewed strength, they stirred, the pot bubbling with vibrant life. Alex felt the moment swell, memories of his grandmother weaving through every stir of the spoon. "Let us add a secret ingredient," he declared. "Lemon juice. Brighten it up." Nods of agreement followed as they rummaged through their cramped workspace. Someone found a bag of lemons, and hands scrambled to squeeze them, the zesty aroma cutting through the heaviness in the air. "What about the seasoning?" a voice said, panic creeping back. "Are we still missing anything?" They pushed forward, voices overlapping, each of them pouring laughter and frustration into the mix. Like paint splashing on a canvas, each ingredient was a stroke towards their masterpiece, but the stranger was still close by, watching their every move. "Just a little more time," Alex urged, desperation creeping in again. Shadows loomed over their hustle, the storm's roar barely a whisper compared to the stranger's presence. And that s when the ground shook again, a menacing tremor that threatened to unmoor them from their focus. The walls creaked, a groaning sound that sent chills racing down their spines. "Stay together," Alex yelled, grounding the group, drawing their attention back to the bubbling pot. "We're on the precipice. Let us finish strong." As they added the finishing touches, chopped cilantro and a sprinkling of salt, the air shifted. The stranger's laughter faded, replaced by a silence that descended like a fog, clinging to their hearts. Then, amidst this thick ambiguity, an idea struck Alex. "The taste. It has to evoke the memories. We need a story tied to every flavor." But before he could voice the thought, the ground quaked with fiercer intensity, rattling their progress. Cans crashed, utensils scattered. "Alex!" someone yelled, fear cutting through the noise. He steadied himself, face pale but eyes fierce. "We can't stop now." We have to pull through, for every memory, every sacrifice. The storm raged on outside, and the air crackled with tension. The chilling realization hit him. Would they emerge victorious or watch everything they fought for dissolve into ruin? With the clock ticking louder than ever, Alex and his team stood at the cliff's edge, waiting for the final trial that might just define their fate. Was their hope enough? As the tremors intensified, they had one heart-stopping question. What awaited them when the last ingredient was finally thrown into the pot? The room plunged into a chaotic whirlwind as they scrambled to gather ingredients. Underneath the pressure, even the most trivial tasks felt monumental. Alex could sense the weight of the stranger's gaze, heavy with expectation. "Keep stirring. Don't lose focus," he yelled, his voice barely cutting through the rumblings of the storm and their frantic energy. With the tremors threatening to topple everything, Alex gripped the edge of the counter harder, his knuckles blanching as a new thought struck him. Wait, what if we need something more than just flavors? He shot to Maria, who stood closest. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? A story. Not just any story, one that brings all of us together. Love, loss, every sacrifice. His words surged from a deep well of memory. What made my grandma's recipes special was the storytelling woven into each dish. The room stilled as they absorbed his declaration. Regrouping from the shock, they shuffled through memories like pages of a cherished book, each person connecting in their own way. Fire up the emotions. What do we remember? Alex pressed. Family dinners, Maria chimed in, her voice cracking. Every time my brother stole the best piece of chicken, and my mom's famous chili. How it reminded us of cold winters and hot chocolate afterward. Blurted out Kevin, a determined look in his eye. Across the counter, Sam shouted, let us throw in a pinch of our biggest regrets. Make this dish a testament to everything we've been through. With new fervor, they dived into the pot. Every addition was a piece of their lives. Each scoop of spices reflected warm embraces, shared laughter, and whispers of pain. A whirlwind of flavor began to swirl. The love they poured into the pot was palpable, rising above the din of the storm. Just then, the stranger's laughter cut through the atmosphere like a knife. Fascinating. Let us see how long this delicious concoction lasts when faced with true adversity. With a flick of his wrist, he snapped his fingers, and the lights in the kitchen flickered wildly before plunging them into darkness again. A cold wave swept through the space, stealing their warmth. Shadows bloomed around them, and the sense of despair dripped like molasses. Their pot was their only beacon of light. Stay together, Alex urged, grappling for solidity within the chaos. Do we keep going? Someone quavered, haunted by the uncertainty that surrounded them. Yes, we can't surrender now. His voice wavered slightly, but he reined it back, solidifying his resolve. We have a story to finish. We owe it to everyone we've loved and lost. The storm screamed in an uproar outside, as if to mock their resolve. The tension in the air grew suffocating, a threat looming like a coiled snake ready to strike. In that moment, Alex fumbled for the remaining ingredients, his hands trembling as he fought the darkness. The final touch. We can do this together. One last ingredient. As if conjured by their collective will, the lights flickered back on, and the stranger stood close, his eyes gleaming with a predatory delight. Are you sure you want to add that last ingredient? After all, it may be the very thing that unravels your little story. Their breaths came in quickened gasps, uncertainty clouding the room again. Fear settled in their stomachs like lead. They had stirred up something profound, but what awaited them at the end was obscured by shadows. What if it's the key to our survival? Maria said softly, almost too softly to be heard. That's the gamble, Alex replied, his voice steadier now. We need to trust our bond, even if it means risking it all. As the tension surged, hearts raced. One question echoed through the chaos. Were they truly ready to risk everything for the taste of victory? With courage etched in their eyes, they teetered on the brink. What awaited them in the next heartbeat could either seal their doom or unveil their greatest triumph. Would they dare to stir in the last ingredient? With a swift motion, Alex reached for a small vial resting in the corner of the counter. It was peculiar, glowing faintly as if it held a secret of its own. The moment his fingers brushed against it, a shiver ran down his spine. It had been on his grandmother's shelf, tucked away as a mysterious relic. What is that? Sam whispered, eyes widening with curiosity and fear. I don't know, Alex replied, lifting the vial to get a better look. But she always said it held the essence of love, a rare spice she brought from a distant land. Maybe it's what we need. It could bind everything, memories, love, and regrets, or it could destroy everything. The stranger interjected with a sinister grin, ever the shadow looming over them. Do you really want to turn your story into a farce with some antique potion? Enough, Maria shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. We're not backing down now. This isn't just some recipe. It's everything we are. The air thickened with tension as they all locked eyes on the vial. Each second felt like an eternity, each heartbeat a drumbeat of anxiety. Alex could hear the storm outside pounding against the walls, echoing the turmoil inside them. Press on, Kevin urged, his fists clenched. We've come too far. If this is our final ingredient, we have to trust our story, our truth. Before the stranger could intervene again, Alex poured the contents of the vial into the steaming pot. The moment it touched the mixture, a radiant energy erupted, illuminating the room in pulsating light. Look, Maria exclaimed, pointing at the swirling concoction that changed colors before their eyes. Magentas, blues, and golds danced through the mixture like spirits celebrating their freedom. But then, a sudden chill seeped into the room, a tangible darkness thrusting itself against the light. The mixture began to bubble violently, threatening to spill over. What is happening? Kevin shouted, stepping back as the pot started to shake. The stranger's laughter echoed ominously. You've awakened a force far beyond your comprehension. Do you honestly think you could play with emotions and memories without consequence? You're in over your heads. The pot emitted an unearthly sound, then a wail, blending sadness with joy, an ancient melody that tugged at their hearts, revealing secrets long buried. Each note brought back images of moments in their lives, laughter shared over dinner tables, whispered promises, tears shed in silent rooms. Suddenly, the room dimmed again, forcing Alex and his friends to clutch each other. The astounding light faded, extinguishing their hopes momentarily. They stood on the edge of chaos. Can we bring it back? Maria's voice was now small, filled with desperation. Of course we can, Alex affirmed, eyes darting between his friends. Just like we kept our stories alive, we can reclaim the magic. We have to stir it back to life. They dove forward, hands gripping the pot, each pulling from their memories and emotions again, each stirring fervently. The sounds coalesced into something more than just expression. It became a binding that connected their hearts. The walls shook, and they felt the storm rage outside. But inside their cocoon of collaboration, something ignited, a power they hadn't anticipated. And then, as if answering their call, the pot erupted in bright light, casting away the darkness. The stranger's expression shifted from amusement to shock, the predatory gleam dimming as he stepped back. What awaited them beyond this moment, a haunting reminder of the struggle they had forged together, or the ultimate victory they sought, remained to be seen. But as the radiant mixture swirled and pulsed with life, one undeniable question filled the air. Was the light their salvation, or merely a trap to draw them deeper into a mystery that had only begun to unfold? With breath held, they hovered at the edge of revelation, daring to find out what would be born from their courage. The vibrant mixture in the pot simmered with newfound energy, pulsating like a heartbeat, and Alex felt a surge of hope wash over him. The light shimmered, illuminating the worried faces surrounding him. This is it, he breathed. We can do this. Let us channel everything we've poured into this dish. Our stories, our struggles. Let them intertwine and rise together. They moved as one. Hands dove deep into the pot, while memories mingled with flavors. With each stir, they ground their fears into determination. The bitterness of loss mixed seamlessly with the sweetness of love. Laughter of family echoed in the beats of their stirring hands. They forged forward, bonding over past experiences, the smells of their childhood kitchens, the warmth of family gatherings only cooking could replicate. Outside, the storm had reached its peak, but inside Le Petit Mirage, a fierce light began to surge. As they stirred, it took on a golden hue that flickered and danced in a luring display that sparked curiosity and dread in equal measure. The stranger glared, his earlier confidence wavering. This little display of sentimental nostalgia won't save you, he bellowed, trying to regain control of the room. But he felt the tide shift. The aroma, rich, vibrant, layered with history, began to weave through the air, wrapping around each onlooker. Patrons inhaled deeply, their doubts evaporating, replaced by hope. Each of Alex's companions seemed to channel their stories directly into the dish, infusing it with more than just seasoning but the essence of their very beings. "It's about family," someone whispered, "and the love that ties us all together." With renewed strength, the group pushed themselves, pouring more than ingredients into the pot. They poured their hearts, their values intertwined in every stir. The conversation shifted, recalling cherished memories, emotional losses, and the power of unity. They recounted moments that shaped them, each word sending a shudder of warmth through the gathering chaos. Siblings learning to cook, a grandmother's smile, a holiday feast that brought everyone together. The stranger stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "What is this?" he demanded, voice laced with rising urgency. But Alex and his team weren't deterred. This is our dish," Alex shouted, adrenaline surging. "This represents not just flavor, but our fight, our history. Every drop holds our legacy." With a final push, they added one last touch, a sprinkle of crushed red pepper, a tribute to passion and resilience. The pot erupted, flames licking higher, vibrant lights swirling within. The entire room felt charged, and energy surged as if the very fabric of their memories had been woven into the dish, a tapestry brighter than anything they could have imagined. Then they faced the stranger, their eyes steady, resolute. "We don't fear you. You're not just judging our cooking, but the story of who we are." The man squared his shoulders, the mocking smile fading from his face. He lifted the plated dish before him, a masterpiece of color, history, and heart. It radiated the lifeblood of their collective efforts, a fusion of cultures brought together to form something unified, something beautiful. The silence was deafening. Even the storm outside quieted momentarily. "Can you taste it?" Alex asked, hands clenched on the counter, anticipation brewing in the air. Finally, almost hesitantly, the stranger raised a fork and scooped a portion onto it. The crowd held its breath, straining to witness what fate awaited them. He studied the colors, the steam rising. They could see the glint of conflict in his eyes, and for a moment, doubt flickered across his features, a glimpse of humanity. But would it be enough? With a swift motion, he brought the fork to his lips. The room felt like it held its breath as he tasted, his mouth moving instinctively before setting the fork down. "Interesting," he finally uttered, his voice low. "But is it enough?" The question hung thickly in the air, full of suspense. A gasp rippled through the diners. Alex's heart raced while the shadows reclaimed their strength. Yet before they could respond, the ground trembled once more, a deeper quake, an ominous rumble echoing from the storm outside. The stranger's expression shifted from intrigue to annoyance. "This isn't over," he spat. "You think you can redefine the game? There are powers at play here, far beyond your understanding." The shadows around him darkened, merging into a swirling void that seemed to tug at the corners of their reality. "Your sentiment is admirable," he continued, "but sentiment won't save you from the dark forces that are awakened." "Then let them come," Alex shouted back, fury and insistence wrapping around his words. "We've fought too hard to back down now. We'll embrace whatever you send our way." The stranger's expression flickered. Just for a split second, was it fear? As if to challenge their newfound confidence, he grinned darker than ever. "And what if your heartfelt concoction fails? What will become of your loved ones then?" Instinctively, Alex flashed glances at his friends, then to the patrons whose life had been interwoven with theirs. "No matter the outcome," Alex asserted, chest tight with resolve, "we've faced this together. We've built something stronger than fear, stronger than darkness." The storm burst with renewed fervency outside, but within the walls of Le Petit Mirage, they stood against the tempest. They were not mere patrons waiting for a chef to guide them. They were a community, intertwined in their stories, ready to fight back against whatever abyss this man conjured. "So tell us," Alex challenged, "what's the next move?" The stranger, momentarily taken aback, laughed, a hollow, discontented sound. The air pulsed around them. charged with anxiety and the bittersweet scent of simmering memories. Whether this battle would result in salvation or destruction, one thing remained crystal clear. They were a collective force not bound by fear, but driven by love, community, and resilience. Let the games begin, the stranger sneered, and all at once, darkness surged around them. But Alex felt something inside shift. They wouldn't falter, they wouldn't break. As the first crack of thunder resounded, they surged forward, united and strong, ready to turn the tide and reclaim their fates. The storm raged on, but inside, they were the calm at its center, ready to forge ahead into the unknown. In the back of his mind, Alex knew this would be more than just a battle for their lives. It was a confrontation that would define them forever, stitching together their hopes and dreams against the shadows that delayed their future. And as the tempest roared, they turned to the unknown with fierce indifference, committed to tasting victory together, whatever the price. Stay tuned for the next tales in this series, where stories of heart won't just entertain, you'll feel the pulse of every beat, every tear, and every moment of survival. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss a second of the exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach so many more amazing fans like you. Flood the comments section with your reactions. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is what makes our stories possible. Together, we can create a community that thrives on the power of tales and dreams.